What's going on? What's going on? Live in color again today. See what's going on. A lot of different topics to get into. Um, still from that whole Puffy thing yesterday. I got some new videos coming out. Just touching about that. That was a pretty big bomb. I don't know how many more they're gonna have with Puffy. It's funny how um they, like I said, I talked about this. I said they locked up R. Kelly. But Puffy's still floating around, so I don't know. You tell me. You know, what's the word on that? It's kind of a bit crazy with all that. So um, that's interesting. They're very interesting. One of the comments on that um, talked about today about Trump sneakers, Joe Biden with the chicken. What's up, man? How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. Talked about the Trump sneakers and the Joe Biden fried chicken and Donald Trump Jr. talking about how much brothers are coming to him. Like, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Ted, I saw you, Professor Black. That was you on there talking about Jesse Johnson, right? Yeah, about that Jesse Johnson. The guy says we don't need no black people. We need Asian people for the uh, for the black vote. Because I was on there with Professor Black talking about. Yup, I caught that. I commented on that too because I said, it's funny how they always get these cats to talk all that talk. Yeah, I be on there with pro black. And I was cracking up off of that too. I was like, this cat, he can't be serious now, can he? We don't really, yeah, you do. See, the thing is that he mad because Killer Mike got pulled. And, you know, Trump tries to talk like he's a rapper. That's the funny thing. He tries to appeal in his own way. You know, it's funny. They don't want him, but they sure ain't gonna turn him down. So I saw that. I saw you over there. I be checking out his posts too. I like Professor Black. We be saying some things. I check him out. I check him out. And that was we don't need a rapper to tell them they got their minds made up and this and that. And the other. Like, yeah, okay. And they just using you to sell some tickets. It's funny. Anyway, I just peeped out Stephen A. Mad Dog talking about, Skip made a good point about the if you trade Justin Fields to Atlanta. I think that would be a good look. With everybody involved, that would be interesting. I don't know if that's gonna come to pass. Kansas City just cut the receiver. He just got cut. Not a surprise though. They're making a move. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. They're making a move, so I expect Kansas City looking for an upgrade. If I'm Kansas City, I got to get an upgraded receiver. Yeah, I don't blame them. Shoot, you got to remember something. That's how great Mahomes is. I know they hate it when you talk about this, but oh, I wish you were on Facebook. I had to deal with this white dude. See, first of all, they be talking about it's NFL retro on Facebook. So this cat, they was trying to diss Ray Rhodes because he was with y'all for 1 year and with Philly for 1 year. And I said he was average. I said, but why y'all picking on him for? I said I can name Dave Campo, Chan Gailey, Rich Kotite. We used to call him Rich Kotex too, by the way. That's another story, another video. He sucked. I can mention 3 or 4 white coaches who were mediocre. Jason Garrett. I said they didn't get ran. They got more run than Ray Rhodes did. And I said, y'all gotta remember, ain't been like black head coaches been exactly burning it up. Okay. So they got upset. They didn't like what I defended Ray Rhodes. I said, look, now Ray Rhodes may have been average. I said, but he better than a lot of what they got out here now. Come on now. I said Ray Rhodes did not get the benefit of the doubt in a lot of situations. I said black coaches don't. You can't possibly talk about a black head coach when it's only been 40 years since, when Art Shell broke through. We're not talking like a long time ago. Okay. So anyway, yeah, they be some good old boys in there. Some of them NFL chats are, I had to deal with it with the Mahomes situation. Some of them be some good old boys up in there, you know. So, you know. So they hate on anything black. Boy, yeah, of course they do. And they hate it when you bring up the fact that there hasn't been like a lot of black court. I said, because he's the first one that you've had in the GOAT discussion. And y'all eating it. And you know good and well that because of the NFL's history, that you know what's up. You know what's up. You know what's up. You know. I know and you know. We all know. This ain't like this ain't a situation where, that you've had. And we had like years of this. Even if Mahomes, we gotta see what happens with Lamar, right? We might not get another black quarterbacks in this kind of discussion because we'll see what ends up happening with Lamar. We'll see. But you know what I'm getting at. We'll see how CJ Stroud, Jordan Love turn out. But you know what I'm getting at because I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to be in no discussion. And Russell Wilson, he'll be a Hall of Famer, but he ain't going to get that 1 yard is the difference between him being seen a certain way and not seen a certain way. Okay, hallelujah. Appreciate that. I appreciate that coming through. I do. And I do need that, so I appreciate that. Now that's the kind of message I don't have a problem with. Not at all. We do struggle. We do. I definitely acknowledge that. I saw that highlight. Um, Too bad he didn't do that for Miami last year. He would still be with the Heat now. And just saying, that was a heck of a shot though. But I'm not surprised though. They be Mavericks like that. And you be asking me what I think about Tim Hardaway Jr. They was dissing him. Oh, they dissed him hard. And um Strauss, he just didn't do it enough for Miami. He got some of that in him, but it's just not consistent. Cleveland ain't a bad team. They're just not a championship team, but they're not a bad team. They're like one of them teams that realistically could be fourth, fifth, or sixth. A high end second tier team. Yeah, because they said he didn't do nothing in the fourth quarter. He got ate up. I thought about you because you always be trying to talk about him. And he got ate up. They said, they dissed him. He came up in the comments because I remember you mentioned him. But Strauss, he can make some shots. You know, Cleveland's still a second tier team. No one's taking them serious though. But they can make some shots though. Excuse me. But yeah, I caught that one last. I caught that highlight today. I am, I saw Stephen A. Smith talking, and Wendy was bragging about. No, Wendy's from Cleveland. Nobody outside is watching no Cleveland game. Not like that. For different reasons. But they're not a bad squad. I don't have to watch them to tell you that they're a legit second tier team. They just don't have that dude. That's all that's hurting them. They're missing that cat. I call him Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, Winnie still talks about them, but I call him Winnie the Pooh. So Winnie the Pooh was talking about him with Mad Dog and Stephen A. But you know, that's how he got over because of Cleveland. You know how they go. So you know, but the Cleveland is a good, a good team. You know. Okay, I remember Virgil. See, I've been trying to put out here about Hulk Hogan. I ain't heard nothing about Hogan, but Virgil died. Okay, okay. I remember Virgil. That's been a minute though, but I remember Virgil. He had love back in the day. Wow, I wonder what he had. I wonder what he had. That is too young. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about Uville Ruckus? Uville Ruckus. Enlighten me about Uville Ruckus. Enlighten me, because I'm not familiar. I know Darius Ruckus. If you said Darius, I got an answer for you. Wow, sorry to hear that. I hadn't seen very. Oh, Uncle Ruckus. Which Uncle Ruckus? If you're talking about on the Boondocks, or you talking about Uncle Ruckuses in general, you gotta let me know, because you see that's kind of loaded. I need to know if you're talking about a particular one, because see that gets referred to by Terry Crews. Got called that. Quite a few black men got called it. So, are you talking about the character, or are you talking about in general? Oh well, I mean, that's sad to say. That's par for the course. Oh yeah, that's par for the course. I mean, that that wasn't just put there by accident. That's par for the course. Unfortunately, that's part of the culture. Sad to say. Some people don't look at it. Like Ted know about that Johnson dude that Professor Black put out there. That Johnson, that Jeff Johnson, whatever that turkey is, up there talking about Trump in Carolina for black votes. Yeah, real life. A lot of them. A lot. A lot. And before people think it's not even what you think. It's not about them being with white women or being in the bird. It's just that they just like that. Like they can be in the most blackest neighbor. I have seen it. I knew skillet black folks that were like the dark as my hat and is whiter than this paint that's on the wall. Kid you not. And it was sad because you're trying to understand why you don't like yourself, why you have so much disdain. And listen, granted, I'm gonna say this: TV doesn't do you no justice. Entertainment doesn't do you no justice. They don't paint images that you can necessarily feel good about because the stuff is just always a hustle and I mean, think about it. I mean, it really is. It really is. It's kind of like we think about Denzel, for instance, his movies. He's won 2 Oscars. One, he was a slave in Glory, joining the military and got spanked up on. And then he played a corrupt drug dealer. That's how he gets his Oscars. Think about that. That's supposed to be the best actor going living. And that's how he gets his awards. Just saying. So you look at these things, what they throw as messages, that's what you see. So, you know, I don't make this stuff up. Well, they buck dance because they can't beat them. So it's kind of like if I can't beat them, I got to join them. And then the self-esteem issues, and it also comes from their family life, and then they have people who've influenced and inspired them. Say, you want to get ahead, is what you got to do. You know, um, I think not all, but a lot of people start off kind of like trying to fit in, trying to assimilate at some point in life. Trying to, even as kids, because your kids, you don't really know no better unless someone tells you. You kind of go along until you get a mind of your own. And then when you get a mind of your own, then it's kind of like, okay, I can't do this. I won't do this, you know. So that's the reality. So I don't think racists wonder about the buck dances. They know that they're acting because the racists themselves be acting because they have to stick to what they do. Yeah, that's what me and Ted are talking about. They're very real. They're very real. Ted and I talk about all the time. They're very real because they are like somebody that you may associate with, but the lack of respect for their self worth comes out in some form of fashion. Um, the biggest thing is like I like it when Barkley does it. I hate it when Kenny the Jet Smith runs up to the board and tries to talk about what this and that. Usually, you know, it's not the same anyway. There used to be a time you could make real adjustments. Sometimes teams are just better. Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you. Now, Ted and I talk about that all the time. They are very much a real reality. There's a fear and trying to appeal and appease. It's really a real life like that. I think we all almost encountered some of them because they'll say, "Well, don't do nothing. Don't upset the cart. Don't do nothing. You know, keep that job. Be happy. You know, we have to act. You know, when you're dealing with institutionalized systematic racism in a racist society, you have to act. You can't always be all the way like you want to be because eyes is watching you, and you're not free. You see, so they there's they want you to conform, and they try things to set you off. Anyway, halftime shows pet peeves is that sometimes the stuff be like tiring because there's only so much you can say. I mean, like I like it. Like if they try to downplay a team getting their behind beat, they're getting their butt waxed. So it's not like it's not no fanfare. So you know, it depends on who's commentating on it too. Sometimes it just be like that. You know, I don't really see a lot of them now though, because they can't but tell you but so much. Um, this interesting because some of them feel they have to be soft, or some have to be hard, and then you get this. It's like, well, if she's too attractive, does she? But see, like, let me give you an example. Doris Burke, I have no peace with her. She's a nice looking woman, and she knows the game. Salters knows the game, cool. Pam Oliver knows her game, cool. Um, but some of them play in a role, and some of them become annoying. To the point where they're either the agenda. But as if you're sticking to the script, and if you're actually doing your part as a journalist, and you're not showing that you're trying to be petty, because what's her butt who got into it with Cam Newton? She just uh lost her respect, her credibility, because he told you who was a game manager, and she was pitiful. You asking me about Colin Coward? You want my reaction? You know how I do in my regular videos, Colin Coward. Th- I can't tell if he's really a sports journalist or is he a comedian. You remember Rich Little, the comedian? If you haven't been familiar with Rich Little, look him up. I can't tell because some of the stuff he says, he just be sounding like he be just drinking something or chewing, and he just says some. He'll like make himself like he made sense, and he don't. I mean, he just like a crazy white boy. I don't even see. See, Skip plays a role as a crazy white boy, but he get credible people to come around him. Joy Taylor got out of from Carlin Call because he was a perv, got out of there. They don't they he somehow got some hookup, but he be crazy. I mean, he funny. Most of that stuff he talk about, I'm like, I don't know about Coward. I don't know about I don't know. Colin Carr is hilarious. I don't know. None. Because I already told you that from the 60s to the 90s, role players had roles. It's different today because there's no role players today because everybody got to shoot shots. You got to shoot today. You don't just do garbage no more, and you got to be to a certain standard. That ain't stopping no one before. But he wasn't even discreet about it. But my problem with him is that most of his takes, he says stuff, and then when he wrong, he's like, "Yeah, I knew so and so was gonna happen," and I'm like, "No, you didn't. No, you didn't." He gets all deep and analytical, and he do get people who are top flight far as commentate, but he don't put nobody top flight that's on his show no more. Well, of course he would try to make a move with her because he thought she might have been bought and paid for, but he too corny for that. He too corny, and he can't pull no weight. He can't pull no weight. He ain't got no weight to pull. But I get that white boy's credit. He keeps a gig though. I don't know why, unless they like laughing at him because his stuff be corny. And he be off the wall, excuse me. I listen to him and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I wish I did, but I don't. She tends to make the most of her options. I can't, well, she does slurp LeBron, so you take that why you want. She has selective slurp. But generally speaking, I agree with you. She's not heinous though, but she's selective though. I'll give you that. You know, I got respect for her. Well, that ain't hard. Actually, everyone keeps it real on Dak except for probably Stephen A was trying to make an MVP. Shannon kept it 100. Skip don't be feeling him like that. Most the ones who are real, we gotta remember something. Stephen A. Smith was never what you call a football expert. No way. He didn't gotten a little bit better, but he wasn't that versed on football. So, but no one is going to slurp Dak. Okay. It's the sad part is that he looks better than what he is, and he don't look better than he is because the NFC after Brady's gone and Aaron Rodgers gone, he happens to be moved up tiers, but by default in the NFC. But he still ain't, where he's supposed to be. It's just a lot of stat padding and numbers. So, you know, and it's gonna be a place and time where it's eventually people getting kind of tired of that mess with him. So yeah, oh, shit, he ain't hard to keep it real on. You know what he gonna do. You already know. So, you know, I don't really even have to even discuss that because that's pretty much a known fact. As good as it's gonna get with him. You know, I mean, he's a mediocre quarterback in terms of where he ranks by default. But we had, you know, Um, so if you go to a sporting event, you gotta, obviously with your ticket, you get your food, you might want some clothing merch. That's how I get you. And then the price, and then of course the parking, and it's a lot of if you're into it. If you're not, not so much. So it all depends. I never had no drunk uncle. So when I watch games at a friend's house, the only pet peeves is okay. So I'll tell you this story. Buddy of mine who's a diehard Bills fan, he come on here sometime. So if he come on here, I ain't gonna say nothing that he don't know. He might not want to admit it, but we his ex girlfriend, we went to the crib over 20 years ago, right? So week 5, they had some Lay's chips in a bowl. Fast forward 8 weeks later, the same bowl had them same chips, and I knew it, they knew it. I'm like, "Raw, raw. I expect me to eat that?" So that was the only time I had a pet peeve where I was like, no, 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 no." And so that was one of the last times that I ever went because I thought, "Come on now, you recycling chips?" Yeah. So that was the one time, only time something like that occurred. But yeah, it was a sick thing. I knew. And I looked at the bowl because I knew, and I was like, uh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Yeah, why? What's up? How you doing? Joe Blow, what's up? I'm fine. What's going on? If you just coming on, me and Ted were just having a conversation about a question he'd asked me about if I ever had an episode at a friend's house pet peeve, and I was just talking about um this happened over 20 years ago. And good, but we tight, we cool. But his girlfriend had a bowl of chips, and they were in the same bowl from week 3, and it was like week 11 or something. And I looked, I said, "That bowl ain't changed." So, and it's funny because until you said something about that, I don't really talk about that often. That was just one of them episodes where I had a flashback, and I thought, "Oh, no, I wouldn't have mind if it had been a drunk uncle or a funny aunt or somebody, but that was a bowl." And I was like, "Oh my god!" Looked at that bowl because how I knew there was one of the chips had like a green speck. One of them Lay's chips had a little green thing on it, and I thought, and then it was sitting in the same situation about 6 weeks later. I was like, "Oh boy." So that's how I remember that, unfortunately. But yeah. So let's just say that in pre-pandemic life, and we used to go out to the sports bars and stuff like that, or we go out, but I think I stopped doing in-house hmm, years ago. Let's just say that kind of derailed it. So, you know, so that's one of those things that happened. Oh, the TV show? Um, I think, well, not nothing too much with Steve Harvey because he tends to fit it pretty good. I mean, I think that sometimes some of the questions that get asked or answered, he got to give you that look like he's so foreign to him, like because they trying to sell it to an audience that stuff is like taboo, but that's what makes it kind of like a pet peeve, like But we live in a different day and time now. Um, Kids today get access to the internet, get access to what's happening and what's reading, so it's not like they're not aware of certain things. So, that old shock, like, "Oh my god, did you say that?" I mean, so I'm sure I think I've seen the uncensored few thing. There was some funny stuff. And I'm gonna tell you something. If Family Feud went more Jerry Springer like, the ratings would be even crazier. I'm just saying. They had some real crazy unscripted stuff I've seen. But they can't act like they so shocked and surprised. Um, where do I begin? So everything was always about the audition. You knew that there was gonna be people who suck and stink, so get laughed at. You knew that. All this whole thing about pitch parts and I don't know and all that and all this acting. And then they said, well, be original, but you're making people sing karaoke. You're making people sing behind other songs. You're making them be in style. And the thing about it is this: American Idol does not represent the music industry. It's not how it go. It's a different kind of taking from you. So you know, it's it was, and then the truth is this. No, I'm a big Lionel Richie fan. Luke Bloom is okay, and Katy Perry. They could have canceled that show like 10 years ago. Really, 10, 15 years ago. Just keeping it 100. So that's how I look at it. But Idol has a lot of, it's kind of like, come on now. You can't have some judges who can't even sing to be judges. They had Paul Abdul and Jennifer Lopez. Give me a break. So the hype. It's the most hype thing ever. And it don't mean nothing. Oh yeah, by the way, you'll see tomorrow. I did a video about Caleb Williams, and I talk about this because I say, what will it mean? I don't know. So don't ask me. I saw something with Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. There are people that I see thought Deshaun Watson was going to be better. He might have an asterisk now. I don't know. It could be the end. I don't know. Can't tell. Can't tell. Um, I did do. Oh yeah, and that retro football thing that's on Facebook. They were talking about Rick Meyer, who got drafted by Seattle. He was a scrub. But he came out of Notre Dame, and I said back in the early '90s, because we talk about Charlie Ward. I said if you were a quarterback and you were white, you were going to get drafted at the least. You might not have been. You'd have been drafted in the first round somewhere late or something. That wasn't until they got to some bad white boys, and then all of a sudden everybody made example of. But just saying. But the thing is, I see that dude that's a New York Jet fan with that helmet on his head, and he's all loud and happy. Like, you don't win nothing on draft day, you know, because you should be actually looking to see what Kansas City gets on draft day. You not to see who's a successful model. That's where you find out. Yeah, well, see, the thing is, but I remember because I was in the area, but I had the white boy laughing because he didn't even notice. I said, "Yeah," I said, "He sucked." I said, "But you know what?" I said, I said, "Brady Quinn was so horrible. He made, he made Rick Meyer look like, John Elway by comparison." That's how bad it was. 'Cause Meyer was a 3rd string, 3rd tier quarterback, but Brady Quinn made him look like a stud by comparison. Just saying. The mighty Quinn, the mighty Quinn. Yeah, Danny Wackfall. Yeah, he sucked. They like, but again, that's how it was. Wasn't that long ago. Wasn't that long ago. And if you hear me say stuff like that, give me a caveat in the sense that I tell people all the time, wasn't that long ago that how they were with black quarterbacks. Because just like you mentioned with Charlie Ward, because they didn't see him as that kind of quarterback. And again, that's why I hate being, well, no disrespect to you. I don't like to be asked what I think so and so do because I got to see the system they're in. I got to see who their coach is. I got to see the personnel they got. I got to see the direction they got. It's hard to guesstimate. You just can't tell these things. McNabb had a good career, a really good career, borderline, very good career. Yeah, Kyle Bowler. There you go. Can't tell. Quarterback is the toughest position. It's the most important. It's the toughest because so much has to fall into place. So much has to. Oh God, you digging in the basement now, yeah, Patrick Ramsey. You just don't know, but you know that they're gonna get attention, but you don't know what they're gonna marry, what they're gonna fetch. So and the draft day hype is ridiculous because it's kind of like you thinking that okay, it's going to be, what's it going to be, you know? So some of these guys just turn out to be just horrible, and nobody calls them out on, that's what they do. Because I remember a lot of these cats that got drafted. I'll give you an example. One of the guys that turned the fortunes of a quarterback as far as draft was Gino Torretta. He sucked in the NFL, and they rode him. That's why when we talked about Pat White, that's why they stopped getting hoodwinked by guys doing so well in college. That was a good example right there. Because after Ryan Leaf and Jesse Palmer and uh, yep, yep, Jamarcus Russell, yeah, because this hype is so crazy. I read what you said yesterday about Caleb being a generational talent. I don't know if he is or not. I don't know. I don't know. But I know that Patrick Mahomes is a two generational removal talent because that's worth two generations, which it is. You think about it. I mean, he got a chance to run run a train of success. So yeah, man, the rich show is crazy. You never know how these guys gonna turn out. So you just don't know. So it's just like with anything, you don't know. But the NFL draft, like the NBA draft, is too overhyped. And NBA usually got it right with top five. So, you know, there's an exceptions to the rule. So that it don't count for more than what it should be because they just put the two teams, and most of the times the main players don't even play in the game. And it's got interesting hype, but the game is not even memorable. So, it's entertaining for what it is, but then it just kind of falls flat when you watch the actual game because again, there's not, it's not the same. Um, the nuances aren't there. Um, there's debates. There's debates. There are guys that people would like to debate. Some people got a problem with Anthony Davis being in it. Some people got, it's different people you want to debate. And people can say, hey, this guy should be there, this guy shouldn't be there, that sort of thing. So, um, too much hype. Too much hype. I know what he meant to the game. I know how important he was to the game. However, I didn't want to see all his games there. There were some games he just was looking old and flat. And he had some games he looked great, like he had moments. But he was not going to be the dude he once was. That's just the fact of law of Shaq said, 39 ain't 29. And they was trying to cram down the throat that there might be a last hurrah. And his body gave out. So no, that was the biggest pet peeve. You know, because he had some big games, but he also had moments where, let's just say that there were some players that wouldn't have a chance against him in his prime, and his body was giving out. Could he still ball and move? Yes. Was he still somebody that you had to like acknowledge on the floor? Yes. And would he bust you up? Well, they just didn't really appeal to me because I watched teams from the '80s that I like more, but um, they had a formula that worked. They had versatile guard play, the multifaceted usage of centers, interchangeable forward, small, and then had the right type of power forward. So they won, in a way that reminded me of the Detroit Pistons because it was the guards that did most of the movement in and around the rock. They used manipulated centers because they didn't have what you call, because Bill Lambier and Cartwright might cancel each other out. There wasn't like this sense of like, oh, these some great centers, but they had their role. And then they got a lot of energy, their forwards, and then a bench. So it was a heck of a format, heck of a formula. But my only, I think just that they were kind of a boring team for me to watch in some instances. But they won. Yeah, but you see, they didn't need it because they did like what Detroit did and Chicago did. They got guys to split it up, and they had heavy scoring on the perimeter. So anything that the bigs gave you was gravy. So, so let's see what we got. Yeah, no low cost sparring. So yeah, that's one of the things right there. But again, one of the reasons why people who are Rocket fans will say, well, they didn't go against a large one. Would have been interesting. Would have been interesting. Would have been interesting. You know. Well, yeah, because they'd have to. The only reason why they won, but there was nothing that was like countering. So that's all. But they had the right formula. They didn't have the right guard play. They sorely missed a guy that could have connected with Ewing or with Starks that could score. They missed the Carmelo Anthony type. You want to talk about your classic cherry picker? If you had a cat that could just knock down 15 to 18 to 20 points a night with what they had, oh, they're coming out the East a couple of times, and they probably win a ring or two. Now, I'm not including the 94. They probably would have came out, been 3 runs, and probably would have got a ring out of it with a Carmelo Anthony type. Bernard King being healthy. They did not have that guy, so therefore that was their Achilles. Couldn't get a score. And I think that hurt him because that's one of those situations that if you have a piece, history looks at you differently. And that's what I noticed with a lot of those teams in the '90s. If you must know, they were a piece away. The Knicks were missing a scorer. Orlando needed more cohesiveness with a coach and structure with the bench to complement a young Shaq and a young Penny. They were just left to run wild. Yeah, Think about Carmelo Anthony and what he ended up becoming when he left the Knicks and went on his sabbatical to this team, that team. Guy like that plays back then, and you 15, 18 points a game, you're going to a finals or two, and you're going to win a one. And they didn't have a guy who could purely just score. Because I told you, Derek, told you Harper was older, and they relied on Starks to shoot. And that's before three. That was way before 3 point. Imagine what he was doing then. He fit in perfect today. Today he fit in perfect. He'd be shooting threes till his hands fell off. But if you ask me about 90s teams, I could tell you the ones that didn't win. I could tell you exactly what they were missing. That's what the Knicks were missing more than anything. They just didn't have a guy who could just score to be scoring. Yeah, they were. Good call on that. Good call on that. They were. That, and I think the bench was a little bit kind of not put together. I think there was some poets for. I think there was a little bit of just not a cohesive unit. Um, they were a very odd mix because in 94, 95, they lost those series to Houston. I still don't know how they lost those series. And I know Bark wasn't a leader per se, but it just, I'll never know. I'll never know. They didn't have nobody inside. Frank Burkowski. So, yeah, it was a Burkowski. Yeah, the center. Got out hustled by Rodman in the finals. George Call called it. Jordan and Pip got off in game three, but that's the only one that they got off. The other ones were ugly. It's just that the Sonics shot all them three balls, back tap, and they were playing them hard. Chicago had size over them. When they brought in Kukoc, Harper, and off the bench, that's what was the difference. And then in the glass, Rodman stole, took a couple games. You want to know what they were missing? The Jazz were missing a center. That's what they were missing. A center and another piece off the bench. The Magic was missing basically maturation, a bench player, and a coach that knew how to mix it up. That's what they were missing. The 92 Blazers were missing Arvydas Sabonis. I believe with a legit center, they win a ring. I really do. And two of those three that you mentioned, it came to 98, 92, was a center. Utah has a legit center. They probably beat the Bulls. And 92 Blazers, with Arvydas Sabonis, they probably beat the Bulls. I think. Because what they had was a lot of hype, smoke and mirrors. Shaq and them, like I said, I already told you they needed a better coach, a little bit off the bench, and some maturation. They were about a couple years too soon. So that's good questions too, because like I said, I can remember them 90s very well. I'll tell you what everybody was missing. Then a lot of it was because of not having a body in the glass, and you know, that was really it. I mean, the Bulls beat the Lakers with Vlade Divac. Then they beat the Blazers with Duckworth. And I forgot who the Sentinels was, Phoenix, but non-descriptive. Frank Burkowski was Seattle, non-descriptive, and then Ostertag and Foster in Utah, non-descriptive. So they won, but it was pretty much your bigs in the perimeter. The 94 Knicks were just missing like a Bernard King or a Carmelo Anthony type. That's really it, really. Needed a guy who could score. Didn't have it. Pacers, good question. I don't think they had the guy that could really knock the shots down. I know Reggie gets his love and all that, but I thought him and Jalen Rose and Travis Best were all kind of like it was kind of the same, but nobody stood out. So So, and like I said, a lot of them are kind of repeated, but it's the truth. 94, they just needed a guy who could score. That's what hurt them. And the Pacers, they needed something different than what they had because they had the Davis boys and they had Reggie and Jalen and Travis Best, but they were missing. I don't think it was youth. I don't think it was youth because Shaq had been in the league for a minute. Kobe was your pup, but you know, Portland had the mixture of old and youth, and it didn't work. There you go. Oh yeah, and you didn't ask me about them Blazers from 2000 because I tell you straight up, they was missing a leader. Scotty wasn't a leader. That's why he sounds ridiculous now on this Jive tour. I remember that series very well. I think they got cute when they got McDice, and they lost their edge because McDice was more athletic, but he really fit with what they had, and I thought they lost their edge. I think that's why they lost to Miami. I think that they no, they beat Miami. Take that back. They beat Miami, but when they lost to the Spurs, but I think they got a little cute against the Spurs, and the Spurs were like a bigger version of them, a better version of them. Series did go 7, and it was some highly contested basketball, but I think they got a little cocky. I think they got a little cocky. And the thing about it is the Spurs play team ball. So, but the Pistons could have used probably could have used a Carmelo. And I agree with Chauncey on that. Had they had an offer, the same thing that got them that ring against the Lakers, the same thing that's why they lost to the Spurs, and then they subsequently fell off because they did not have moving forward enough firepower parts to be a contender. They played with a lot of emotion and heart when they first got by the Lakers, but you still got to have talent. You still got to have those horses. So I think that's what hurt them. They were shot. Now I'm not gonna try to make no excuses, but they were shot. Obviously, when they took Draymond out of Game 5, and that was huge because I think momentum shifted. But they were shot mentally. I think they put in too much work to get that record. Steph was hurt, and his body language was off because they put Kevin Love on the perimeter on him. Kevin Love couldn't hang with no Steph, but they were missing, and of course, Harrison Barnes missed some big shots. Ezekiel, Frezzo, I can't say his name. You know what I'm talking about. They missed a lot of point blank shots too. So you know, there's a lot of little things like I call tic tac. There's little tacky little putbacks things they miss. So yeah, I think it's Flozell. They were missing, Harrison Barnes. That's why they had to make that move when they got rid of him and got Durant. They missed some things that they just didn't finish up. So uh I think they were burnt though. They put too much stock into getting that record, and I think they were burnt. Good topic though with these 3 teams though, because I remember it like yesterday, and I could tell you. Mhm. So you talking about a lot of bum moments with Golden State in 2016? Is that what you're saying? That's what you're referring to? If you are, I'm not gonna disagree with you. I thought Curry hot dog quite a bit, do some bad behind the back passes, try to be cute. Draymond, of course, getting suspended. Yeah, that's who I was talking about. he messed up. He could have been a big part. He could have been a big part. I think if he holds his own, they win that series. You know, and I think Harrison Barnes too. So you know, had a chance. Had a chance. Got a little sloppy. Yeah, well, because nobody else was gonna take him after that. I mean, he missed some potential, you know, situation. Kind of like Charles Smith with the Knicks. Okay. Remember Charles Smith missed all of them layups against the Chicago Bulls? Missed them 3 in a row. They'd have won that game. It'd have been interesting with Chicago, New York. He missed, Jordan Pippen was trying to wax his shot. He just missed. So kind of similar. Yeah. Yeah. I remember him very well though. Yeah. Hmm. And like I said, that was a different time for them. That was a different time. And I know some people are gonna hold that against them. So yeah. And it was like I said, that had to be a pretty disturbing, way they lost that finals. But Curry went and got more rings after. He got 3 more since, so. But had they won that one, history might talk about them differently. We won't know. We won't know. Why? Why? I'm trying to figure out what you mean when you said you were shocked by Marley recovering. Well, what do you think happens if he gets 6 rings? I should ask you. You asking me if he can, what do you think will happen? Even if he was to get 6 rings, he'll never get the full due because he's a small dude. But what I do believe is with 5 rings, he moves into the top 5 discussion. And you can't have a I remember what Jordan said he's pretty good. Um, it won't really move the weight. It won't move the scales. I'm one of the few people that thinks Curry's better than LeBron now. And I might get some people agree and some people might laugh at me. I don't care. But they got the same amount of rings. And Curry has done more for leading his team. Curry changed the course of basketball. LeBron didn't do that. LeBron did not do that. And I'm a firm believer that if Curry plays with the same cast of characters that LeBron has played with, he might be closer to 8 rings. I can say that because you put a legit team with Curry or a no legit team with Curry, and he's won. You know, everybody was fashionable forget that the team that even though Cleveland was hurt, what have you, he had. Oh well, listen. If that was the case, Clyde Drexler would have been in tears. He came back. He won with the Rockets. Magic was old, so that don't count with that. Malone and Stockton came back. They went back to back. Now you can maybe you'll use the Gary Payton, Sean Kemp 1 year wonder, but it wasn't like he killed off people from not coming back to compete. That was a strange series, if you must know, and if you didn't watch it, or if you caught the reruns, it was a very strange. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I used to think like that, but I thought, man, this man's impact, what he's done for the game, I gotta take him over him. But see, they're in my 9 to 10 slot. Okay, I'm not gonna talk crazy, and neither one of them is top five for me. I'm not gonna talk crazy. I'm not gonna talk crazy. But if Curry was to get 5 rings, then you factor in the impact of the game and his scoring and what he could end up doing. Oh yeah, he'd be top five for me. Just he needs 5. If he gets 6, but he's never gonna get that love no way. So it won't matter. What's a hot take? Tell me what's a hot take. What do you consider a hot take? And to answer your other question about Dan Marley was never a tier dude with Jordan. He was, you know, a pretty good player, so it wasn't gonna where he would be burned, you know. Marley was like a parking lot shooter too back in the day, but again, that was a strange series. I remember each team won on each other's home court. They had that wild overtime game. And that's one of them series is that a play here or there could have gone 7 games. So, what's the hot take? Fill me in. I want to know what you consider the hot take. I know it's not fashionable to put Curry over LeBron. I know. I don't do things like that. That's why I got this channel. I don't talk like everybody else talk. You can call me crazy, whatever you want to call it. I have opinions on a wide range of topics where I don't follow the line. I got my own mind about stuff like that. And I'm very confident about that too. He would. Shoot. That's why I take him over him. That's why I take him over him. I mean, listen, I'm not taking nothing from LeBron's past scoring record, all the other stuff all around game. But you see, and I'm not comparing Curry. Let me hear what I make this. Not comparing Curry with Jordan. But you tell most people Jordan is better than Bron. I can say the same thing about Curry. Because if you put Curry in them same situations, he won with Andrew Wiggins. He had Andrew Wiggins out here looking like uh-oh. Uh-oh. He could have been a finals MVP. Uh-oh. Clay coming off of almost career-ending injuries. Draymond Green looking like washed. They won a chip 2 years ago with Gary Payton Jr. Otto Porter. Come on now. LeBron wouldn't get caught dead with that squad. He would. Y'all can quote me on that. He would. Put Curry with D Wade and Chris Bosh. Get back to me. Put Curry with Anthony Davis right now and tell me Anthony Davis don't look like a top 5 or 6 player right now with Steph Curry playing with him. Tell me he don't. Give Curry, Kyrie, and Kevin Love to work with and tell me he don't win with them. Tell me that he don't. The man won 2 rings without Kevin Durant, okay? What did Kevin Durant win without him? I know he had a toe on the line, all that, but what did he do? I'm just saying. Meanwhile, if it's LeBron James, can I get Kevin Durant on my team? I want this guy on my team. I want him. I want him. Come on now. If you are that deep as you claim you are and you got all that talent and all, and you breaking all these records and stuff, why you got to have half the League of All-Stars to carry you behind? I ain't heard Curry do that once. And before somebody come to me and say, well, Curry might be tied with Clay. Well, Clay is not Clay no more. He's still good and effective. That team's over 500 like the Lakers with all that mess they had. And the Lakers got a better squad than them. You got arguably two. Well, he fit in good. And it's still a debate. Should he really have gotten the finals MVP in 2015? I don't think he should have. Steph and him should have been the tie for that. I don't think so. He played some decent defense on LeBron. I mean, if you really want to know the turning point of that finals, besides Kyrie getting hurt and Love being LeBron, was David Lee. When they brought David Lee to play the three, oh shucks! You see, you talking my language. Let him have Giannis, and he probably played till he 45. Then what? You think I'm playing? He a jump shooter. He stay healthy. He gonna play till he's 40, 41 easily. You put Giannis over there, he might play to 45. He just might. Then I know he'd be in that crazy scoring, probably get about 35,000 points. That's all it would take, too. And you know what? All it take is for that Dame Lillard mess to blow in and blow in their faces, and he gonna want out of there. That's all it would take. Shh. And I know it too, because he's the perfect player for play with Curry. The perfect. That's what Giannis needs. A guy who really know, because Dame is a junior whopper Curry. Okay, get the real thing, you win. Get the real thing, you go into the show. Stop jiving. Just saying. So people don't want to talk about it, but I'm gonna tell them like that. That's the facts. You nailed it right there. Shoot. You know, put that guy like that on them, they're gonna be owning the league. That would be owning the league. Yeah, people don't want to hear you. You know, they like, oh well, Curry. Yeah, with a Giannis, yeah, because he can shoot. And there's no hands off, no checking league, and a guy like Curry who's gotten stronger. Have you seen how he's worked out, bulked up? Looks just like he did 10 years ago with his scoring. Can still move, agile, take care of himself. Yeah. Yeah. Easily. What's happening? What's happening? How you doing? What's up, Ian? What you talking about? You coming from tonight? How you doing? You know, if you give him a guy like Giannis, then I could definitely see a couple more rings. And actually, Steve Kerr doing all right, man. Appreciate you. Good to see you. Steve Kerr would love to have a guy like that to coach because of the style. Giannis would be crazy in the West, you know. It'd be crazy. All right, from NY. Okay. Right on. The city or upstate? Well, Doc ain't gonna get Doc stuck with Dame, so he ain't gonna be stuck with him. But no, Curry ain't gonna go to no Milwaukee. They too country and too slow for him. Sorry. I know you from Wisconsin. He ain't going there. He out there in that California silicone. He ain't gonna go. He ain't going there for y'all. But nice try though. But he ain't going there though. I almost forget where you are there for a moment. But my point is, you give Curry someone like Giannis, you see them. You'll see some success. You'll see some runs coming. And he's the kind of dude that I think that kind of move would be. Because I mean, Giannis could get away with it now. He already got his ring. He's got his Finals MVP. Sure, team up. No, no. Wemby needs a Jason Kidd type point guard. Now I know Curry moves me more, but a guy that don't mind deferring and just passing that rock, and you set and pick and run and do things, and then you go in transition. Because Curry ain't never played with a center like that. No way. He never played with a dominant center in his life. And Wemby, I can't say he would be a dominant center. I say he'd be very good, and I think he'll be great. And if he keeps on his trajectory, but he needs a kind of point guard that would kind of defer to him, not shoot a lot, probably keep it to about 12 to 20 points, but more like closer to 8 dimes. And Wemby wants to go to that 24 to 27 a night, 10 boards, 2 or 3 blocks, 2 or 3 assists, couple steals. You need to have a kind of unison like that. So I don't know if that would work. I don't know if that would work. Yeah, but you got to give up a lot. That's not a bad look, but you got to give up a lot though. And I don't know if he'd fit in with that. I don't know. I don't know. But I like it on paper. Oh, make no mistake about it. All the best moves aside from Miami would be Giannis going to the West. Only people in the East that could fit good with Giannis's style would be the Heat. Yeah, I know you're from Ohio. Oh, you talking the end? Yeah, because didn't say you're from New York. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're from Ohio. Because you're a Packer fan. That's what threw me off. My bad, because I thought you're a Packer fan, and I'm always talking about Wisconsin. Yeah. Um, Giannis, I'd say the Heat. I want to say the Knicks with Brunson, but I don't. I kind of reluctant. Kind of reluctant. But you'd have to get another piece to make that work with him and Brunson. I don't know if Julius Randle's the answer. But yeah, everything out west. If I was trying to beat Denver, if I'm Dallas, if I'm Golden State, and I'm going to throw another wild card. If I'm OKC, could you imagine Shea and Giannis and Chad Holmgren together? Could you imagine that threesome in OKC? That threesome would be deadly. Because he got to go somewhere where a team is kind of young, but has got been tested a little bit. So OKC, Dallas, and Golden State. If I'm Giannis going to the West, obviously, if New Orleans had some legitimacy, if Zion had some legitimacy, Brandon Ingram has. I'd say that, but they don't have no legitimacy. So, all right. So that's kind of how I look at with that. But that's a good call though. Okay. Oh, let me know when you come back, cause I'm the thing in. But yeah, that's a good. That was a good call with that though. See, I got a little sore. Yeah, I said that. That's what I said. I guess it's on delay. I said that would be scary. Him, Shay, and Holmgren would be scary because no one's gonna talk about that. But that would be a scary 3-0 in the LKC. That would be scary. Actually, that might be the most scariest. I mean, him and Steph would definitely be a title contenders, and they'd be that would be worth seeing from a superstar. Him and Luca and Kyrie would be intriguing from a threesome. Him and Shay, for the way the game is with the inside out, would be. Those are the three places I'd say that would work. So now, because with the Aaron Fox and Sabonis, I can't really see it quite jumping off. Obviously, you get rid of Monk, but you'd have to get rid of much more than that. And I don't know that would really. They don't play a good enough defense. They're not a title contending team. See, the three I mentioned, I know if him and Steph get together, they could turn the tables quick. I know if he goes to OKC, Shea, that's what they're missing from being another level because they're going to be upside, but that's going to take a couple of years. But if you get a guy like Giannis, Dallas would be said, we're trying to win now. That's what I mean. I don't feel a way about Sacramento. No, no, no. They don't have enough right there. They're a decent team. They'd have to bring in another. They need another piece. I like what they got, but they're not there though. So they're not quite there yet. Not quite. The only knock against him, I probably say, is that he didn't probably you want him to shoot a little bit more. But again, can I really make that a pet peeve because that's just how it was with the point guards at the time. But had he shot the ball a little bit more like a little bit like Nash more, he was a 50-40-90 guy. And he could shoot the three. And he scored, but he was asked to be compartmentalized. He was a very strategic, fundamentally town player. So it's not can't find a lot with Stockton. Defense, NFL head coaches, pet peeves. Defense. Um, Not adapting enough to the other side of the ball. And sometimes the mindset of not getting a top tier quarterback or not utilizing enough slows them down. It's kind of like Ron Rivera. You know, you can't play games like you did 15, 20 years ago where you score 17 points, 20. You gotta think I gotta put points on the board. because the offer defenses is different nowadays. So sometimes they get caught trying to, you know, it's not how it goes. So, you gotta score. Gotta score. Run the risk of not scoring enough points. Then you gotta make your defensive stops. It's so different now. Being a defensive coach, and if you're a head coach, is not the way it was. That's why offensive guys usually have a better chance adjustment. Look at Romeo Cornell. Didn't really work as a head coach. Just saying. And you got to get the right pieces too. So that's one of those things that I'm noticing. That's a good question, though. I don't really have a lot of Stockton pet peeves because he tended to play the game the right way. You know, he was a great player. So, um, not too many. I think that he did his part for the most part on defense. They just didn't have always the best offensive situation. I mean, he was pretty dominant for his era. It pretty much kept them in games. It's just that they didn't have the offense. Could you imagine if he'd have had a quarterback Lamar Jackson and how many more chances to Super Bowl he probably would have had? Considering between Dilfer and Joe Flacco. So imagine if he'd have been blessed to have a great quarterback. There's no telling. But I can't really find too much with him. He was a big time player. He came up big. I can imagine a lot of teams with Lamar Jackson. You mentioned the best one last night when you mentioned Miami. I didn't want to imagine it because that's in a division, but yeah. The only thing with him, and I don't know about him and Frisco, because McCaffrey may not be seen the same. You gotta remember that. That may be too much fat over there, you know. But um there are teams that Lamar could definitely he cut up with that would be way better with him. I'd be honest with you, sleeper one that you don't talk about is New Orleans, because if him and Elvin Kamara and them, and they weren't that bad this year. They're just that Derek Carr stunk it up, and they were stuck with Jameson, and they still was what 9-8. You know, imagine if they had somebody like Lamar, because Lamar by himself wins you about 3 or 4 games. Carr and them lost you about a couple games. Think about it. That's the difference between being um, 11-6, 12-5, or being 9-8, or 8-9. He wins you about 3 or 4 games. Just saying. I'm talking about New Orleans. I'm not even talking about that because they weren't that bad. Bingo, 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 bingo. That's the best team that I was worried about because I saw Miles Copeland on defense and I saw what they had on offense or what they got. And they handled Frisco, if you remember. I mean, they can. And I'm like, but Flacco went back to his stank self against Houston. But thank you. With Cleveland, a legit quarterback, that's the team that's ready to go deep in the AFC. And they'd be a problem for Cleveland because they can play ground attack. They can get physical. They're comfortable playing that kind of game. Didn't have the right quarterback. Told you before, much as I dug Deshaun Watson, I think they took a lot of his soul out of him. I don't know if we ever gonna get him back. So, but that's a good call right there. Yeah, there's certain type of teams if he plays with, he would definitely thrive. Hmm. Style wise. Not everybody though. Let's not get carried away. From what? From what? What their quarterback away from? Get knocked out on the second round? He couldn't do much with them. They got a good receiver, good running back. Their defense is kind of, they win some close games, they stay in the games. They're not scaring nobody. A quarterback from where? Antonio Brown ain't come back through that door. I like Najee, the running back. I like they got, but they're not. I'm not sold on them like that. They can win some, but they can be had. I'm not sold on Pittsburgh like that. Not like that. To me, they're better than 500 team. They're kind of like what their record is. They're 10-7, 9-8 type. I don't see much more than 10 wins. I'm not sold on them. Look, I think Tomlin is a heck of a coach, but I think they try to run him out. But I don't see nothing special about them. I don't. I don't think he could do a lot. And what else? I like the running back. He bad, but their defense is spotty. They're spotty. So once you get Peters, the running game, and Adams, and what else you got? I'm not big on the Raiders. I like Antonio Pierce a lot. They're gonna do a good job as a head coach, but I don't see them being a viable team. I don't see it. So I don't think Lamar could have done a lot there. Don't see a lot there. Yeah, because a lot of them are not used anymore because it's considered a dinosaur position. And most of them are just going to be used as tweener backs anyway. The Derrick Henry run type of era is gone. You're going to get some quality tier backs, but you're not getting them the way you remember them. Not even the way you remember them. I remember I grew up in an era where guys like that played 10, 11 years, and they was like, wow, these guys aren't going to be used like that. They're just not. Like McCaffrey is almost like a novelty, if you must know. It's the cats are more used like Debo is. It's not even the way it was. Because we really don't even need running backs to dominate no more. Look at what happened with Kansas City. They're a great example. Back in the day. Back in the day. But ask yourself something. The two most dominant quarterbacks you've seen recently, and before you mention LeGarrette Blount or something, or even Corey Dillon, those guys are not Hall of Fame bound, and they're not. They worked in the organization, but Brady pretty much made it without a dominant back. Him and Mahomes are the two most dominant quarterbacks you've seen. What have you noticed? No dominant running backs. Think about it. Think about it. The two last dominant quarterbacks you've seen have been Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, and they did not have a dominant running back. Because Antonio Smith, when he went to New England, which I remember, he came from Buffalo, he didn't do much. And this is being charted. This is being charted as I talk. Um, what's his butt that quit, went to the Rams and went to Atlanta, and McVay cut him. Um, what's up? What's up? What's his name? What's happening? Saying, what I'm talking about. He get retired. He went from the Rams to the Falcons, and he was with Jared Goff in the Super Bowl, and he looked like he was going to be something. Got him up out of there. Yeah, Ty Gurley. There you go. I thought Gurley would have been a guy that would have about 7 8 year run. Gone. gone. So it's not a situation where, and I know you're gonna mention Tony Pollard. He's not that kind of back. Ezekiel's not that kind of back. They're just using these guys. Now I like what the Bills got, like that run, but it's not the way they're doing it now. They're cutting the middleman out. They're cutting the middleman out. You know. So okay, okay. So it's no longer like guys are sitting on, you know. I grew up in an era where, like I told you, guys used to play and run. So, yeah, yeah. I'll give you an example. So I was a kid. John Riggins was playing for Washington. He quit the NFL, came back, then ended up winning that Super Bowl against Miami, hit that big run. And Riggo was like 12, 13, 14 years. That's not happening no more. That's not happening no more. And I don't know what you say. You got to say it in English for me. But you know, it's a different era removed. So you're not gonna see, yeah, Debo, but he's a two-tone guy. Actually, they use him in multiple sets. They use him for different things, different variations. So, again, it's a different era. Different era. Different era. You know. When I was coming along, like I said, you had guys who play a long time. Eric Dixon, all that. That's not happening ever again. Just telling you. What Derrick Henry did, you better count your stars. You got to see that because that Earl Campbell type of back, that kind of pump like they did, that's not norm now. That's not the norm. Not no more. Actually, Curtis Martin would fit great in today's game, but he wouldn't be playing no 12 years. They get him up out of there after 6 or 7. And Robert Smith, I mean, when he was Minnesota, he did that and got up out early. Backs don't play long like that no more. They get 4 or 5 year window. Which Ezekiel got quite a bit of a window in Dallas, but it's not the case no more. Jerome Bettis, you're not gonna see that no more. Mm-mm. I don't like it. You asked me one of my pet peeves about today's football is that running backs are mysteriously taken out the game. I miss it. Yeah, but it's just different today. You know, different era, different era. So you know, does it make it better? Right? It's just what it is. So that's what's up. I'm gonna get ready to eat, and let me check some real quick. Try to get back. I'll try to get back about an hour and a half. I'll answer this one before I go eat. Coach and search for peeves. They always act like they're trying to get someone that necessarily fits or something, but a lot of times they're just looking for the formulated coach or some scratch. What is a coaching search anyway? What is exactly a coaching search? I mean, you're searching for what exactly? Because you're not going to get, if you're a sorry butt team, you're not going to attract a top tier guy. So you're looking for someone who will be low pay and will be happy that's a coordinator or something that comes along. Very seldom do they get someone that is actually a guy that's going to be a cornerstone. So what is exactly is the search about? You know, the Chargers got lucky because they're in LA. That's why they landed Harbaugh. But anybody would have been better than Staley. Who did? I mean, he was a walking wounded duck. So Yeah, I want to continue that one. Let's tuck back on that. I'm gonna give me about an hour and a half. I'll be back. We'll chop it up more on that. But yeah, the coaching search. What is that? All right, I'm out. Peace.